Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, starring the Man in Black himself, Mr. Joaquin Phoenix, is a classic retelling once again of the iconic character we all know and fear and maybe some crazy ones love, with a new kind of twist and new exploration of this beloved character. We finally explore his origin story for the first time on the big screen. Not more like the Tim Burton one where he just falls into the dip of acid and boom, that's how he's made. More the Killing Joke kind of way where as we go through his story, we explore more of where he came from. How was his life before he became this feared person? And what could lead such a normal man to become the monster we all know and fear? I just saw this movie actually 2 days ago. I've been really thinking a lot about it. I promise I haven't just been purposely stalling. There's a lot on my mind after I saw this film. Here's what I thought about this movie. So, with all the controversy and all the talks behind us, finally, hopefully, let's just say yes. I've just been thinking a lot about it after I saw it. I've been thinking a lot about this movie and a lot of what comic book films have really gone to and what they've become these last few years and what they've achieved so much after really going back even to the era of The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger first came into the big screen and blew our minds forever. It was such a different world for comic book films, especially even when you go back into the 80s when Superman and Batman were coming into the big light for the first time and making their big stance of what the possibilities it can bring for the industry. They weren't really well respected, even after the biggest first hits that they ever had with the original Christopher Reeve Superman and the Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson Joker Batman. There was a lot of potential for them, but many people didn't pay attention except for one thing, and that was the money. The insane amount of money comic book films can bring, and showed even more of the power of what this new concept blockbusters that was being heavily explored and exploited to the max in the 1980s, and its true potential of the amount of money it can make. And that was all really comic book films were. They were going to be the big blockbuster summer flicks that would bring kids and all families alike butts in multiple times in a row, even if possible, to make those billions and billions of dollars. And there was a point that even back in the early 2000s, late 90s, that comic book films were even feared to be at a point that they were so just milked to death that there wasn't more that could really be exploited them anymore. They were just beaten to death. There was no more to do with them. And then a Sam Raimi and a Christopher Nolan came in and changed the landscape forever to prove even more. Nope, there is not even more to do with it. There is an incredible stupid amount to do with them. And you guys have barely even scratched the surface. Comic book films are going to be changed. But specifically focusing obviously on The Dark Knight, we had a little special role. With them already creating the Dark Knight trilogy and franchise itself and reviving Batman Forever, Heath Ledger would have come in and blow people's minds. And it's funny, I've been watching and reading a lot about Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix background after I saw the movie, and even before the movie was coming out, having myself up, I love to read about a lot of the productions of films I'm going to check out. And it's insane to see that there was even a point in time when Heath Ledger first got casted, people actually were upset about it. There were petitions to get him replaced, and that classic thing that every nerd does. I know, get a petition. It sounds like a cliche at this point. But this was a huge thing at the time that people just did not believe in Heath Ledger at all and thought he did not deserve the role. He was known as the Brokeback Mountain guy, the gay cowboy dude. He was going to be the feared clown prince of crime. Get the hell out of here. And then obviously we all know what happened. Then even more shocking that I didn't even realize from reading all this, him and Joaquin Phoenix used to be the best of friends, which is what even blew more in my mind when I found out Joaquin Phoenix was the one that was going to be played the new Joker. And really the whole production of this entire movie and its birth of it is what blows my mind a lot. I didn't even... Do you guys still remember when supposedly this film was just going to be like a prequel for the Jared Leto Joker that totally everybody loved and nobody had any complaints for at all? It was even better than Heath Ledger itself. I'm going to get crucified for saying that. But yeah, no one even knew by that point back in like 2017 what the hell was happening with the DC anymore, with Warner Brothers. What were they going to make? Was there anything more that they were going to make after Wonder Woman? I mean, the Batman film is still being, how many times being pushed back? Aren't they getting like Robert Baron, the fucking Twilight guys, Batman now? I don't even know what's happening with that anymore. It was just a shocker they were releasing anything even after that. It blew my mind that they released Aquaman, Shazam, and now this incredible masterpiece. And now we're here. I know that felt like a ramble, but I just really, what this film made me think about a lot is how much comic book films have changed and how we've led to this point where we can get such masterpieces like this. And even in a year like this that's filled with so many legendary films, without a doubt in my mind anymore, with such things obviously as Endgame, to think that we could still get such incredible films like The Joker to be released, or sorry, just Joker. And now we talk about the movie, obviously. Now, the reason to confess, the reason I rambled so much about pretty much the history of comic book films and what's happened these last 10 years after The Dark Knight came out is because I'm so terrified to spoil anything about this movie. Like, the experience of watching this in theaters was just so memorable to me. I went to go see with my friends on Friday after school. We planned it. We went to the mall. We hung out at the mall for a few hours before and even after the film. And we met some new people along the way, which was very exciting. And even got to meet someone that worked with Christopher Nolan on The Dark Knight, which was just the most exciting thing ever. Period. To see this movie still was just like the highlight of that whole day. And that's what's so incredible about it, and that's why I'm so terrified to spoil anything. I generally am going to try my best to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, and just use metaphors as much as I can. Because generally, guys, I really thought about it. Holy shit, I know I said the same thing for Endgame, but I think the Joker is going to be remembered for decades and decades to come. And I know that I'm saying that in the same time that not now officially 10 years ago, we had the masterpiece that was The Dark Knight with the legend himself, Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace. But I even said this once I found out that they used to be best friends. I said, you know, if there's anybody that's going to be able to live up to that man's role, it's going to be one of his own friends who got to know him more than any of us could ever say they did. We read about him, but you never know someone until you actually get to hang out with them and talk with them. This dude didn't just talk with him. He probably did drugs with him. No, he most likely did. I'm pretty sure I read about that. He had personal chats with them. They've done things together. They've lived lives together. If there's anybody that could have known how to pull off what Heath Ledger did and then take it a mile more, it would have been Joaquin Phoenix. And yes, he 100% fucking did. It's insane how much he fucking did. And that's what I'm looking back to realize how incredible he was. The best way I can truly describe this film and how it was watching it in theaters is uncomfortable, cringy, and unnerving the whole time. I know, especially one of those words, like the word cringy is usually like really giving a bad taste to a lot of people nowadays, especially anyone that's on YouTube like ever, and especially with our fucking political climate. Feminist cringe, or cringy YouTube channel, cringy kid, TikTok. There's nothing else to be said, just TikTok. Or Musically, it went before they changed their fucking name for some reason. I still never understood that. But cringy could be used for good. It could be something, a natural response to something, especially what I feel 100% this film was trying to go for, to make you feel unsafe, to make you feel like you're never truly safe or secure over anything. What's even another unique part about this film that leads a lot to the cringe factor, as I said, this explores a lot of his origins, and if anyone's read anything about The Killing Joke, you know a bit about the Joker, the little that we are able to know, is that this man wasn't just any born monster or ever wanted to hurt anybody. He was even more of an average Joe, and even worse in this film, the one tiny thing I'll spoil, he even had it harder than most other people. This dude was born with like the worst fucking life I could ever imagine. There's a scene in the movie where he finally starts, it's revealed and he finally discovers what his true past was, at least from what we know. Once again, I'm trying to keep this spoilers free as fucking possible. And it's like a punch, then a slap, then a spit to the gut. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's the only way I can describe it, of how much pain and sorry you feel for this man. It really does give that feeling that a lot of people have been talking about, that you really feel sorry for this guy, because you realize, holy shit, this dude could have been any of us. He was an average Joe. But obviously we would soon learn, this isn't really a spoiler, it's obvious that he would become the person everyone fears, and he's like the biggest, most feared person in like comic book history. He was just an average guy. Even worse, even less than average, just a tragic man with a tragic past. And that's what's so incredible that they explore with this film. As uncomfortable and unnerving you feel throughout the whole film, you can still feel empathy. You can still feel even a quick second of, shit man, but that does suck. You know, how would I react in that situation? How could anybody react and still stay sane at all in situations like that? And that's what's so genius about this film. I really wish I could say more, and you all might kill me or mock me for this, but generally this is the only way I feel like I could ever do this review. I think it'd be a disservice to go more into detail about it. Todd Phillips fucking murdered it in the directing. The score was incredible. The soundtrack is mwah. We literally, yesterday at rehearsal, that's all I kept doing when I was bored. We were singing the songs of the movie. It's an experience like no other. To give my final notes, Joaquin Phoenix, you absolutely delivered and honored Heath Ledger to whatever he brought into the table and more. Todd Phillips, you were an incredible director, and it blows my mind that this guy was the fucker who did The Hangover a few years ago. These two gentlemen and everyone else in this production literally took it to the next level of what the Joker was and can be. And it just proves more how incredible this comic book industry is, or this style of filmmaking or genre is, and how much more there is still to explore, and the possibilities it still has. Even with the character that has been told fucking hundreds of times at this point as the Joker was. there's still so much you can do with this character. And Joker, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I genuinely think soon that is definitely going to go up into a 10 for what it goes for. Guys, that's all I have to say about Joker. I know it felt for a little bit of it, admittedly, that it was a ramble, but I generally just had such an incredible, memorable time watching this film that I feel like if I talk too much about it or go into detail, it would be a disservice. Maybe, I haven't told anyone yet that I'm finally planning this podcast with a great friend of mine at my school that we've been wanting to do, talking about movies. Maybe that could finally be the time where I make a full spoiler Joker film, or Joker review, forgive me, where I can finally go more into detail what I love so much about the cinema and I think what they do so well. But either way, I hope you guys really enjoy this review. This was a lot of fun to do. Please go see Joker, because the reason I'm hiding so much of it is because I feel like it wouldn't be the same unless you went to go see it yourself. I hope you all enjoy this review, and you all have a lovely day.